So the first thing you see is that there's two breaks in the leg shield. So we have this one here. This one actually is kind of you can see it comes down, there's a crack. And they tried to fix it by soldering in some bronze at some point. So that's all gonna have to come out. Over here, similar situation, a little more damage to the leg shield. But so what'll happen is that bronze will come off, this will all get built back up. And then I'll straighten leg shield out because if you kind of look, you can maybe see how it's sort of bent back a little more than you want. The more serious issue, though, is this bar. And you can see right here, it's actually fully broken. And this whole thing is just inadequate. It's too narrow. So if you look at pretty much any vintage bike that's had much time on the street, it kind of has these bends to it where either out at the end of this bracket or like in this case, it just broke right here. And this whole thing's been flexed back. So in addition to getting all this straightened back out, I'm going to replace this. I'm going to cut it all out and weld in a longer, heavier duty bracket. So what I've got is I've got some half inch by 1/8 inch metal bar. So I'm going to cut a new bracket out of that. I've also got some 1 inch, but I think that might be overkill. I don't think I need to go quite that far. But I'm going to basically run it out to, kind of something like that, and it'll kind of match the curve over here. And I think that'll actually go a long ways towards sorting this out.
Getting that bar off was trickier than it might have looked. So first I thought, well, I'll Dremel it because I don't want to get too blunt trauma. And I figured out pretty quickly that I was going to have to just really kind of go for it. So I decided maybe I would get out the big guns. So I busted out the angle grinder. And like 20 minutes later, I finally got the rest of the bar off, and it was time to fabricate a new one. Despite saying I was going to only use the half inch, I did wind up using the 1 inch. And so basically what I did was that I went ahead and curved one side of it, made sure I kind of liked how it fit and how it shaped the leg shield. Then I took that and traced it out. So as I bent it over for the second time, all I had to do was match that trace, and it gave me a nice consistent finish and curve to the overall bar. Next up, clamp it in place, make sure that it might actually fit. At the same time, I marked the edges, and so that let me cut it to shape, fit it again, and then it was time to weld. So clamped it all in place, used just a mishmash of what I had available because I don't have that many welding clamps, but got it all held in place. And so then threw some plug welds in. That's where you drill through. In this case, I drilled through the leg shield. And then that allowed me to weld this onto that backing bar really well. I went ahead and started touching in up the cracks on the leg shield so I'd be able to grind them down. And by the time I got finished, other than the very edge of the leg shield, it was looking pretty good. Now it's time to deal with the damage to the leg shield. And in one case, I was able to save it there on the left-hand side, but on the right-hand side, I wound up having to fabricate a new section of leg shield. So let's talk about how I did that next.